Welcome, fellow bookworms, to TBR's Den. My name is Whitney, and it is time for another Monday Musings. So this is going to be kind of a short and sweet one. I didn't do a whole lot of reading. Beginning of the month, I always like to work on my reading journal and watch everybody's TBR games and such. And honestly, after participating in the Tarot Readathon in June, which was put on by Deja at Deja's Book World and Noel at Noel Sunday. I was on Team Swords. I'll leave the co-hosts and everything down in the description. I had a blast with that, but I did really push myself and I read a lot. And so I was just kind of ready for a break. So I did some knitting and worked on my reading journal and just kind of chilled overall. So I don't have a lot to report. I finished 2 books, but they were books I had already started the previous week, and I started 2 more. So I didn't actually complete anything other than the 2 books I already started, which I've already talked about a little bit. So it was just kind of an easy, light week. Next week, there's not going to be a Monday Musing because I'm going to Tucson, most likely next week, with my mother-in-law to meet up with my sister-in-law because she's going to be on her way back from visiting a friend in California, and they like to go to Tucson to thrift and such. And so I'm going to be going along with my mother-in-law to meet up with my sister-in-law, which is most likely going to be Monday. But because I had such a great reading month in June, I did want to do a full-on wrap-up. So I'm going to film that after I film this, and that will be going up for next Monday. So there won't be an actually, talking about just what's going on the week prior. It'll be my June wrap-up next week. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about what I did read, even though it hasn't been much. So I did finish Yesteryear by Claire Burt. I really enjoyed this one. I ended up giving it a 4-star. I had a lot of fun with this. I really liked how, it started off present day, then we go back to the 1800s timeline, and then we're going back and watching her progression from a young woman, coming from a very religious background, not exposed to a whole lot, going off to college and meeting her husband, and how it evolved into her becoming this trad wife. I really enjoyed that. The reason it got dropped down for me is some of the motivations from the characters didn't make sense. It made sense from our main character's standpoint, but not so much from the other character's standpoint. And so that's kind of what dropped it down. I couldn't quite suspend my disbelief in this situation, but I really had a great time with this. I really enjoyed it. So there is that one. And then I read Kingdom of the Curse, or I finished this one up, by Kerri Maniscalco. This is the second book following Kingdom of the Wicked, and enjoyed this one for the most part. It kind of really lagged. I really felt like, so I thought this was a young adult series. It's probably more new adult once you get, the first book, yes, but this book, and I'm like, if a young adult's going to pick up the first book, though, they're going to want to pick up the next. And the spice, it felt like she was trying to force that spice into this book, and it really just didn't work. And so the whole first part is just, constantly, having the urges but trying to suppress them, and just this back and forth, and but I hate him, and how could I want him when I hate him, and just this back and forth. And on the back, it tries to say it's a love triangle, and no, no, it's trying to be, but it's not. And so and I personally I don't love triangles, but I don't hate them like some people do either. But in this case, it's come on, you're trying to oh, this is a love triangle, and it's not. But yeah, just that kind of, and that forced spice, and honestly, it ruined the chemistry between the characters for me. And later on, once the plot kind of really came into play a little bit more, those spicy scenes felt more natural. It didn't feel forced like it did in the beginning. And I think she was trying to create that tension and such, but it was just very oh, I need to make this with spice. That's what it felt like. It didn't feel natural. It felt forced. like she was doing it because she felt like she had to as an author or something. I don't know. So I didn't love that. And it really lagged, and I did enjoy once kind of the plot picked up, but I just wish the focus had been more on that, and it kind of got lost in trying to make it as spicy and romantic-y as possible, it felt like, instead of, having those more natural moments and opportunities between the characters, and focusing more on the plot. It was really focused on that and trying to force that. So I ended up giving that a 3-star, I believe. I did start A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos. This was the last book from my June TBR game, so I need to read it before I can get started on my July TBR. And I did make good progress. I just didn't quite finish it. I just, like yesterday, I didn't even start reading until close to bedtime. I have like 127 pages left of this, so I should finish it tonight easily. But we'll just have to see because I kind of have a headache today as well, so I might not read that much. But I am making good progress on this. Absolutely loving this. I have the second book, so I'm definitely going to try to get to that one in August. And I just ordered the other 2 books in the series. So they should get shipped out today, and hopefully I'll have them this week, and I can, read the one in August and just continue on them throughout the year and finish the series up with this year. I can solidly say, like, I don't see anything changing in the last 100 and so pages, but this will be a 5-star. I absolutely love this. We're following Ophelia, and she's kind of like this mousy, quiet girl, and she lives in this world where, like, the earth has split apart, and so there's different arcs, and she's on Anima, where it's like this, they're all descended from the family spirit, and they can kind of manipulate objects, and she's a reader, so she can touch an object and read, people and such that it's come in contact with throughout the years, which is really cool. And she can also travel through mirrors, which is really cool. But she gets betrothed to this nobleman on a different arc, which is very cold, very harsh, very political. And so she gets sent there, and she's really not prepared. And it's been such a journey, and I'm absolutely loving it. So I can't wait to finish this one up. And then, like I said, I'm definitely trying to get the second one on my August TBR. My husband and I recently hauled this month when we went and we hit like the little used bookstore and such. They have a new section, and this one was there. And I was like, you might enjoy this. Do you want to read it with me? And so we got The Last Contract of Isako by Fonda Lee. And so we're reading this. We're on page 87 right now. And so we've just read a little bit each night, and last night he started falling asleep, so we didn't even complete the chapter we were in the middle of. But sort of enjoying this so far. It's not quite my thing. There's a lot like to learn and such, and so, like, it's very sci-fi, and the plot really hasn't taken off yet. I am enjoying the character. I always love an older main character, and so I am enjoying that aspect. And so, yeah, we've been reading this together, and we'll continue to do so. This one was just an extra for the moment, so we'll just, there's no hurry to get this read or anything. We're just reading a little bit each night as we so choose. So now that we're done with the Matt Dinneman books we've had, we're going to pick that up because we are going to read Duncton Wood by, I forget his name, but I'll of course list it down below and try to insert it here. But William Horwood, I think is his name, because he got that for me. I do, the 24 Days of Christmas each year, and one year I had him and my sister-in-law, they picked books from the thrift store, and he got it for me as a joke, and it's this big chunky book, and it's about these moles, so they're like, anthropomorphized moles, and we're following these moles, and I became so invested in it, and I've heard such great things about the rest of the series on a video I did talking about that. I still get comments randomly like, oh, that's such a great series, like, have you read the others? And it's like, not yet. And so this past Christmas I was like, I want the other 2 books in that series, and he agreed to read them with me, but I decided I wanted to wait and start those in autumn because it definitely lends more to like cozy vibes, and so we're gonna start that once it cools off a little bit. So in the meantime, we're gonna be reading this, and we have another book that he got that he wanted me to get, and we're gonna read that one together as well. So that's kind of what I did this week. Like I said, I finished 2 books and started 2 others, but didn't read a whole book in the week at all. I was hoping Winter's Promise is for my free pick for Team Dryad for one of the prompts. And so I already submitted for another prompt. And then the last prompt we have to do a bingo board and of all the prompts from the other teams. And so I picked one of the Pirates prompts, which is a random country, because it's kind of my fault that they got that prompt anyway. And so Kim generated 3 countries, and one of them was Jamaica, and Nicola Yoon was born in Jamaica, which I did not know. And this is one I'm very excited to get to, so I was hoping to get to it this past week just to knock out those prompts, but I didn't. But I will for sure be reading this one this week, and that's Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. And then I went through on Libby to see if any of my TBR books were available on Libby, and 2 of them were. They both already came in, one after another. The first one that came in is my Family Books Club pick, which is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. So I will be listening to this while I do chores and such this week, so I'll be doing that one as well. And then I was like, okay, those are like the priority ones. And because I'm still a little just like trying to take it easy, I was looking at my other books, and so I want to read Dark Waters by Katherine Arden, because I have the 4th book. This is the 3rd book in the Small Spaces Quartet, and I have the 4th book as well, so I want to go ahead and get this read. It's a middle grade, around 200 pages, will be really quick and easy, and I really enjoyed the first 2 books in the series, so I'm like, what easy ones can I kind of knock out? And because like I have the 4th one, I want to get this one done, and that way the 4th one I'm ready to read. And then I'm also going to be reading. I have all 3 volumes of this, so I want to read the first volume 0, and then I have volumes 1 and volumes 2 of Toilet Bound Hanako-Kun by AidaIro. I read the first volume of this. I found it at a thrift store, picked it up on a whim, and surprisingly really enjoyed it. And so I did a Pango order, and they had volume 0, so I was like, grab that. And then when we were at Barnes & Noble a few weeks ago, I got the second one as well. So I'm going to be reading all 3. So again, just want to get the first one knocked out. And yeah, I really love the volume 1. So excited to do volume 0 and then reread volume 1 and read volume 2. So total, that is 6 books, one of which is already almost complete, one of which I'm just slowly reading with my husband. So the main focus, of course, will be this, where you can actually see it, is these 4 books. I'll continue to read The Last Contract of Isako with my husband, and of course I'll finish this up tonight or tomorrow, depending on how I feel later on. Hopefully this headache will go away. So that's kind of the deal for the upcoming week. And then, like I said, the next week it just depends on what I get read here. And I will be going to Tucson with my mother-in-law, so you will not be getting a Monday Musings, but you will get my June wrap-up. And yeah, that's about all I have to say. I would love to know if you've read any of these books, if you're interested in reading any of these books, or a book you're currently reading. Let me know that down in the comments below. If you just want to let me know you're here and you're helping to support the channel by commenting, you can always leave a rabbit or any type of animal emoji. I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.